Rain lashed against the empty street, hissing off the concrete like angry whispers. Zara tightened her coat and hurried across the crosswalk, her shoes splashing through shallow puddles. The hospital had kept her late again. The emergency ward never slept, and neither did she. Her phone buzzed with a message from her roommate. "You home yet?" But before she could answer, a sharp noise cut through the wind. A gunshot. The sound echoed down the narrow alley to her right. She froze, breath trembling, heart pounding in her ears. Another shot followed. Then silence. Her instincts screamed run, but curiosity, no disbelief, anchored her. Slowly, she stepped closer to the mouth of the alley. Through the drifting mist, the glow of a neon sign flickered over two men. One was on the ground, clutching his chest. The other stood tall, face shadowed by the brim of his coat, a gun steady in his hand. Zara's breath caught. The standing man turned slightly, revealing the sharp line of his jaw, the glint of a silver watch. She knew that face. Everyone in Seoul did. Chung Seo, the billionaire whose face filled business magazines and whose name floated around rumors darker than money could buy. The gunman bent, whispered something to the dying man, then looked up. Their eyes met. For one heartbeat, the world stopped. Zara gasped and stumbled backward, her phone slipping from her fingers and shattering on the pavement. Chung moved first. "Stop!" She ran. Her feet pounded against wet pavement as thunder rolled overhead. The sound of footsteps followed, measured, unhurried, but relentless. She turned a corner and nearly collided with a tall figure in black. Strong hands caught her shoulders before she fell. "Got her," the man said, voice low. Zara struggled, but his grip only tightened. Chung appeared a moment later, rain dripping from his hair. His expression didn't change, calm, precise, unreadable. "Bring her." They guided, no dragged, her toward a waiting black car. Zara kicked, twisted, shouted for help, but the streets were empty. The driver opened the door. She was pushed inside, and the world became leather seats, tinted glass, and the faint scent of smoke and steel. She tried the handle. Locked. Chung slid into the seat beside her, crossing one leg over the other as if this were a meeting, not a nightmare. "What did you see?" "Everything," she snapped, chest heaving. "You killed a man." His eyes flicked to hers, dark still. "Then that makes this complicated." The car rolled forward, city lights blurring outside the window. "I'm not," she started, but he lifted a hand, silencing her. "You're a nurse at St. Helene's Hospital," he said smoothly. "No criminal record. Lives modestly. You work too much, speak your mind too often." Her stomach dropped. "How do you?" "I do my homework." The silence stretched until she couldn't stand it. "What are you going to do to me?" "That depends," he said, turning his gaze back to the window. "On whether you can keep a secret." The car slowed before a gated compound at the edge of the city. High walls, motion sensors, guards. The kind of place ordinary people never saw. Zara's pulse raced faster. Inside, everything gleamed glass, marble, chrome. The men led her into an elevator that whispered upward until it opened into a penthouse that felt like another world. Silent, cold, perfect. Chung gestured toward a chair near the wall of windows. "Sit. I'm not your prisoner." A flicker of something, amusement maybe, crossed his face. "That's exactly what you are for now." Zara's eyes darted toward the door, but two guards blocked it. She sat, jaw tight, hands clenched in her lap. Chung removed his coat and set it aside. Even without the gun, authority clung to him. "You witnessed something you weren't meant to see. If I let you walk away, you'll go to the police. They'll dig. People will die. Because of you," she shot back. He tilted his head, studying her. "You're brave. Or foolish. Maybe both." He turned away, pouring himself a glass of water from a crystal decanter. "You have two choices. I erase your memory of tonight, figuratively, of course, or I ensure you never speak of it again." Zara rose. "You can't keep me here." He looked over his shoulder. "I already am." Lightning flashed, reflecting off the glass behind him. For a moment, the light made him look less like a man and more like a ghost trapped inside his own empire. Hours passed. She refused the food they brought her. At dawn, she sat curled in the chair, arms around her knees, watching the city wake beneath a thin fog. When Chung returned, his tone was softer, almost conversational. "You should eat." "I'm not hungry." "You will be." She ignored him. He sighed, slipping his hands into his pockets. "You think I enjoy this? Do you expect sympathy?" "I expect silence," he said. "You'll stay here until I'm certain you won't ruin me." She laughed bitterly. You already did that yourself. He didn't reply. But for the first time, something shifted in his expression, something she couldn't name. That night, when the city lights painted the glass walls in gold, she wandered to the balcony. Freedom shimmered beyond the rail, unreachable. She pressed her palms to the cool glass. Behind her, a voice said, "The view's better from here." She turned. Chung stood near the doorway, no jacket, sleeves rolled, the weight of power replaced by exhaustion. "You should sleep," he said. "I can't." He stepped closer. "Because you're afraid of me? Because I don't understand you." He stopped an arm's length away. "Neither do I." For a heartbeat, the space between them felt charged, something unspoken threading the air. Then he turned away. "You'll have a guest room prepared. Don't try the elevator. It won't respond to your touch." She watched him leave, trying to hate him, failing to understand why her chest hurt more than it should. As the door shut behind him, she whispered to the empty room, "You can cage a body, not a soul." The lights dimmed. Somewhere in the silence, music drifted faintly, a piano melody looping from another part of the penthouse. Zara closed her eyes, the rain's rhythm matching her heartbeat. Make sure to hit like, comment your thoughts about Zara's courage, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The night is only beginning. Morning found her staring at a table set with breakfast she didn't order. She hesitated, then ate in silence. Hunger was stronger than pride. Midway through her coffee, the door opened. Cheng's security chief entered, a tall man with a scar down one cheek. "Mr. Seo wants to see you." Zara followed him through a corridor lined with art that looked too expensive to feel real. They stopped outside a study. Inside, Chung sat behind a desk, a file open before him. "Sit," he said without looking up. She did. He turned the file toward her. It was her hospital record, employment history, even photos of her mother back home. "You save lives," he said. "You've seen what people are capable of when desperate." "I heal people," she corrected. "You destroy them." He leaned back, eyes steady. "We're not so different. You work to keep hearts beating. I work to keep my empire alive." "Empires don't bleed," she said. His lips twitched, half smile, half pain. "You'd be surprised." She studied him. Beneath the calm, she saw something broken, like a man building walls to protect himself from his own conscience. "Why did you kill him?" she asked softly. He exhaled slowly. "Because he would have killed many more." "That's not an answer. It's the only one you'll get." Their eyes locked again, and for a moment neither spoke. The tension wasn't about power anymore. It was about two people on opposite sides of the same wound. Outside, thunder rolled again, echoing through the glass walls. And in that sound, Zara realized something terrifying. The man who had taken her wasn't a monster carved from stone. He was a man who had forgotten how to be human. The hours passed like shadows sliding down the walls of the penthouse. Zara sat on the edge of the couch, her hands bound only by fear now, not rope. Chung had left her there with food, water, and a silence that screamed louder than any argument could. Outside, Seoul's skyline pulsed with life, glittering, restless, unaware that a woman was trapped above it all. She stared at the untouched plate on the table. Her stomach growled, but pride overpowered hunger. Every sound, the hum of the refrigerator, the low creak of the elevator cables, made her flinch. When the door finally opened again, she didn't turn around. "You haven't eaten," his voice said. Calm. Too calm. "I'm not hungry." "You haven't eaten since yesterday." "I said I'm not hungry." He sighed softly, like a man accustomed to obedience. Then he moved closer, the faint scent of cedar and rain following him. He placed the food nearer. "You should eat while it's warm." She looked at him, really looked. Beneath the tailored shirt and guarded expression, something about his eyes unsettled her. They weren't cruel, but they carried a kind of exhaustion she'd seen in patients who'd lost too much. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. His jaw tightened. "Answers. I don't even know what you're talking about. Maybe not now. But you will." He turned and walked toward the balcony. Rain streaked the glass, lightning flashing in the distance. His silhouette looked more lonely than dangerous, and that made Zara's chest ache in a way she didn't understand. "Why me?" she whispered. He didn't look back. "Because you were there. Because you saw something you shouldn't have. And because now I can't risk you being hurt by them." "Them?" He hesitated. Then softer. "The people I once called family." Zara frowned. "You mean the mafia?" He turned then, eyes meeting hers. "You shouldn't say that word so easily. It attracts shadows." She almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because fear and confusion were twisting together inside her. You think keeping me here makes me safe? For now, he said. Until I can fix what I started. He left again, and the door locked with a quiet click. That night, Zara couldn't sleep. She replayed his words, "I can't risk you being hurt by them," and wondered what they meant. If he wanted her dead, she would be. That left only one terrifying possibility. He was protecting her. But why? Her phone buzzed once from the coffee table. She lunged for it, a signal maybe. But it was only a message that had slipped through hours earlier, a delayed delivery. It was from her best friend back home. "You always find trouble, girl. Don't forget you're stronger than you think." Zara smiled faintly. She whispered into the darkness, "You'd better be right." When she looked up, Chung was standing in the doorway again, silent, watching. She gasped. "How long have you been there?" "Long enough," he said. "Who were you talking to?" "No one. Just myself." He walked closer, gaze flickering to the phone in her hand. She pulled it away instinctively. "I'm not your enemy, Zara," he said quietly. "But you need to trust that what I'm doing is the only thing keeping you alive right now." Her voice cracked. "You keep saying that, but you won't tell me why. You owe me that much." He exhaled slowly, then sat across from her. "You want the truth? Fine." The air between them thickened. "My father built an empire on fear. I was meant to inherit it, the business, the loyalty, the blood. But I wanted out. I left. I took people with me who believed we could clean what he made dirty." He paused. Lightning flashed behind him. 3 months ago, someone started killing those people. One by one. I thought it was him. I confronted him. He denied it. Then, I found out the hits were ordered under my name. Zara's eyes widened. "You mean someone's framing you?" "Yes. And now anyone connected to that night, including you, is in danger." "Because I saw." He nodded. "The car. The man they shot. You saw the license plate. And now, whoever's behind this thinks you can expose them." Zara felt her pulse spike. "Then let me go. I'll leave the country. I won't say a word." He shook his head. "You don't understand. They'll find you no matter where you go. The only way to keep you safe is to make them think you're already gone." "Gone? Dead?" Her breath caught. "You told them I'm dead?" "Yes." Zara stood abruptly, fury flooding her veins. "Do you realize what you've done? My family, my friends, they'll think I'm dead? It's temporary. It's monstrous." His composure faltered, just for a second. "You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy it? Then why do it? Because I can't lose another innocent person because of me." His voice broke on the last word, and that small crack, that human fracture, made Zara hesitate. She could see now that beneath his control was guilt so deep it bordered on self-punishment. The room went silent except for the rain. "Finally," she said softly, "you don't have to be your father's son." He blinked, startled. "What?" "You can stop trying to fix things the way he did. You don't have to destroy everything to protect it." For the first time, he didn't have an answer. The next morning, the locks were open. Zara found a tray of breakfast waiting near the window and a note written in neat, slanted handwriting. "If you still want to run, the elevator is unlocked. But if you stay, I'll tell you everything." Her hand trembled as she held it. She could leave, maybe even make it to the police. But something inside her twisted at the thought of running. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was pity. Maybe it was something more dangerous, the beginning of understanding. She walked to the elevator and pressed the button. It opened with a chime. Freedom stood just a few feet away. But she didn't move. When she turned back, Chung was there, leaning against the doorway. "You didn't leave," he said quietly. "Not yet." He nodded once. "Then sit. You deserve to know everything." Zara sat. Her heart thudded as he began to talk. "I was 10 when I learned what my family really did. I thought my father ran a shipping company. He did, but what he shipped wasn't goods. It was information. People. Secrets. Money. When I was old enough to understand, he said it was our duty to protect the legacy. But all I saw was blood." He looked away, jaw tight. "I studied abroad. Built a company of my own. Legal. Clean. I thought I was free. But when I refused to come home, my father sent someone after me. That someone was the man who died the night you saw everything." Zara whispered. "He was sent to kill you?" "Yes. But he never made it. Someone got to him first." He looked at her now, eyes raw. "Whoever that was, they're still out there. And they want to finish what he started." Zara swallowed hard. "And you think they'll come for me?" "I know they will." Silence filled the room. Then, softly, she asked, What happens when you catch them? His answer was a whisper. I don't know anymore. Hours later, the city glowed beneath them, endless lights reflected in the glass. Zara stood near the window, arms folded, lost in thought. Chung approached quietly. You hate me, he said simply. She didn't deny it. Sometimes. And the rest of the time? I don't know what to feel. He nodded, as though that answer made perfect sense. I used to think control was strength, he said. Now I realize it's just another kind of cage. She looked at him. Then maybe it's time you opened it. For a moment, something unspoken passed between them. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the faint, trembling start of understanding. Then, from somewhere below, a faint explosion shook the glass. The lights flickered. Zara gasped. Cheng's expression hardened. They found us. If you're still watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The next part gets even more intense. The blast rocked the tower like a thunderclap. Glass rattled, alarms screamed, and Zara stumbled backward as the floor seemed to tilt under her. Smoke billowed through the vents, stinging her eyes. Chung grabbed her arm. We have to move now. She didn't resist. The sheer force of the explosion had stripped her of argument. They ran down the hallway, shoes pounding the marble, the echo of alarms chasing them. Another tremor shook the corridor, and the ceiling lights flickered to red. What's happening? She shouted over the noise. They found the penthouse. I told you they wouldn't stop. They burst into a service stairwell. The metal door slammed behind them, sealing out the smoke, but not the sound of chaos. Zara clung to the railing as they descended flight after flight. Who are they? She demanded. The old guard, Chung said. The men my father left behind. They think if I die, the family line dies with me. So they'll kill everyone near you, she realized. Yes. Her legs trembled from adrenaline and exhaustion. Then what's your plan? Stay alive, he said simply. They reached the basement garage. The air smelled of fuel and ozone. Chung pressed a button on a key fob, and a sleek black sedan chirped from across the row. He ushered her in, started the engine, and the tires screeched as they shot out into the night. Zara gripped the door handle, heart hammering. Neon lights blurred past. Where are we going? Somewhere they won't expect. Hold on. He drove like a man who'd done this before, fast, precise, unflinching. For the first time since she'd met him, Zara wasn't sure if she wanted to escape from him or trust him to keep her alive. They reached the outskirts of the city just before dawn. Mist clung to the road as they wound up a mountain path, the skyline of Seoul fading into a smear of gray below. When they finally stopped, it was outside a small, weather-beaten cabin tucked behind pines. Chung killed the engine. No signals reach this far. They'll lose our trail. Zara stepped out slowly, her legs unsteady. You had this place ready. I always have a way out. Inside, the cabin was simple, wood walls, a small hearth, dust that smelled like forgotten years. He set a kettle on the stove, moving with the quiet efficiency of habit. She sat by the fire, arms folded. You've done this before. Run, hide, disappear. His shoulders tensed. More times than I'd like to admit. And everyone you bring with you? What happens to them? He met her gaze. Usually, they don't stay long enough to ask. Zara bit her lip. The silence between them was thick but not empty. It pulsed with unspoken things, fear, guilt, gratitude. Finally, she said, I still don't trust you. He nodded. Good. Don't. But I believe you, she added. That surprised him. Why? Because no one lies with eyes that are tired. He looked away, almost flinching at the kindness. Hours passed. Rain began to fall again, soft against the roof. Chung stood by the window, scanning the tree-line. Zara sat nearby, hugging her knees. The quiet was heavy but not suffocating. You should sleep, he said. So should you. He gave a faint, humorless smile. Sleep doesn't come easily anymore. Because of them? Because of me. She studied him. The man who'd taken her was unraveling, not in madness, but in regret. Every word he said carried a weight he could barely lift. You carry too much alone, she said softly. He turned, meeting her eyes. And you think I should burden someone else with it? Sometimes that's the only way it stops hurting. He laughed quietly, almost bitterly. You talk like a doctor. Nurse, she corrected. But it's the same idea. You can't heal what you hide. Something shifted in his expression, an understanding that maybe she saw more of him than he wanted. Before he could respond, a faint beep came from his phone. He checked it, frowning. They've traced one of my accounts. We have to move again soon. Zara stood. So it never ends? Not until I find who's pulling the strings. She hesitated. What if it's your father? He froze. Then I'll end it myself. There was no anger in his tone, just quiet devastation. Zara stepped closer, cautiously. You said you wanted out. Maybe this is your chance. He shook his head. You don't understand. The moment I stop fighting, everyone who trusted me dies. And you? I already did. The words hung between them, heavier than the rain. That night, Zara couldn't sleep again. She watched Chung sitting by the window, head bowed, pistol resting on the table beside him. The firelight painted shadows across his face, turning him into a figure caught between darkness and mercy. She stood quietly, walked over, and placed a cup of tea beside him. You need this more than I do. He looked up, startled. You're still awake. So are you. He took the cup slowly, their fingers brushing for a second, accidental, fleeting. Something electric passed between them, not warmth exactly, but awareness. Thank you, he murmured. For what? For not running when you had the chance. Zara smiled faintly. Maybe I was curious. Curiosity can be dangerous. So can secrets. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the rain. Finally she said, You said once you can't risk losing another innocent person. Who was the last one? He stared into the fire. Her name was Hannah. She was the only one who believed I could be better than my family. I failed her. Zara's voice softened. What happened to her? She died because she trusted me. Zara didn't look away. Then maybe trusting you is the bravest thing I've ever done. Cheng's throat tightened. He wanted to speak, to apologize, to explain, but all that came out was a whisper. Don't make the same mistake she did. You don't get to decide that for me, Zara said quietly. For a moment, he almost smiled. You're not afraid of me anymore. I was never afraid of you. I was afraid of what you might do to yourself. That hit deeper than he expected. He turned toward her, eyes dark and uncertain. Why do you care? Because someone has to. The words silenced him. Outside, thunder rolled over the mountains, and for the first time in days, he looked like a man who wanted to believe in something again. By morning, the rain had stopped. The sky was pale and thin, streaked with gold. Chung packed a small bag, sliding the pistol into it. Where are we going? Zara asked. There's a safe house near the coast. I have a contact who can move us without records. Another hideout? Another chance, he said. She hesitated. You're not doing this just to protect me anymore, are you? He looked at her, and though he said nothing, his silence was answer enough. They left the cabin, walking through wet grass toward the car. For a moment, the world was still. No sirens, no threats, only the distant hum of the sea below. Zara looked back once at the cabin, then at him. You know, for someone who calls himself a monster, you're doing a terrible job convincing me. He gave a faint laugh. Give it time. They drove in silence, the road twisting through fog and forest. For the first time since this nightmare began, Zara felt something fragile taking root. A strange calm, as if the danger had forced her to see the truth of him. And maybe, she thought, he was beginning to see her not as a witness or a liability, but as something he needed more than safety. They stopped at a lookout point overlooking the ocean. The wind was sharp, whipping her hair around her face. Chung leaned against the hood of the car, eyes on the horizon. You could still leave, he said quietly. I wouldn't stop you. She folded her arms. And go where? Back to pretending none of this happened. He said nothing. You think saving me was enough to fix whatever broke inside you, she continued. But you're wrong. You can't fix guilt by hiding from it. He looked at her, and the wind carried his reply away, soft as breath. Maybe that's why you're still here. She stepped closer, not afraid this time. Maybe it is. For a moment, they stood there in the quiet. Two broken people on the edge of the world, unsure whether trust could survive what came next. Then far below, engines roared. Black vehicles tore through the coastal road, headlights cutting through the fog. Cheng's expression hardened. They found us again. Zara's pulse raced. What do we do now? He reached for her hand instinctively. We run. And this time, she didn't pull away. If you're caught up in the story so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The next part takes their bond to the breaking point. The roar of engines echoed through the cliffs, a storm of metal and intent closing in on them. Chung yanked the car door open and threw Zara inside. Gravel sprayed as they sped along the winding road, the sea to one side, a wall of rock to the other. They're too fast, Zara said, clutching the seat. Then we make them slow down. He turned the wheel sharply into a tunnel that cut through the mountainside. Inside, the headlights painted streaks across wet stone. The black SUVs followed, closing the gap. Bullets sparked against the walls. Echoes turned every sound into thunder. Chung hit a switch on the dash. A small compartment popped open, revealing a flare gun. He tossed it to Zara. "When I say now, fire it behind us." "Are you serious?" "Very." The tunnel curved. The nearest SUV rammed their bumper. Zara's heart pounded. "Now," he shouted. She turned and fired. The flare burst in a blinding bloom of red, filling the tunnel with smoke and light. Tires screeched. Metal slammed against metal. One SUV spun out, crashing into another. The rest braked hard, chaos filling the darkness. They shot out of the tunnel into daylight. The ocean stretched wide and wild before them. Zara lowered the flare gun, hands trembling. "You planned for everything." "Not for you," he said quietly. They reached a small harbor town at the foot of the cliffs. Chung parked behind an abandoned warehouse and cut the engine. His hands stayed on the wheel, white-knuckled. "Are they gone?" she asked. "For now." Zara turned toward him. His face was pale, jaw tight. "What happens if they catch us?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small drive, a piece of metal no bigger than a finger. "This," he said, holding it up, "is everything they've done. Money trails. Shipments. Names. If this gets out, the organization collapses." "Then that's what we do," Zara said. "Expose them." He shook his head. "It's not that simple. The moment I send it, they'll know. They'll come for everyone who's ever helped me. So you're just going to run forever?" He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, the mask fell completely. "I'm tired, Zara. But if stopping them means you die too, then it's not worth it. You don't get to make that choice for me." Her voice was steady now, stronger than before. "I didn't ask to be part of this, but I'm here. And if what you're fighting for matters, then I'm not walking away." His throat tightened. "Why? After everything I've done to you. Because you're not the man who started this anymore." He opened his mouth to argue, but footsteps outside froze them both. Zara ducked behind a pillar as the warehouse door creaked open. Shadows moved inside, men in dark coats, guns glinting under the broken skylight. Chung mouthed, "Stay down." He drew his pistol and moved along the crates, silent and focused. Zara watched, heart in her throat. He moved like a man with nothing left to lose. A voice echoed through the space, deep and cold. "Chung, you disappoint me." Zara peered around the corner. An older man stepped into the light, silver hair, sharp suit, eyes full of venomous calm. "Father," Chung said. The old man smiled faintly. "You should have stayed where you belong. You're behind the killings." "Of course. Loyalty requires cleansing. You wanted to dismantle what we built. I couldn't allow that." Cheng's jaw set. "You used my name to cover your crimes. I used it to remind them who truly holds power." The old man raised a hand. "Bring me the girl." Zara froze. One of the men turned toward her hiding place. Before he could react, Chung fired. One shot, clean, precise. The man dropped. Chaos erupted. Gunfire cracked through the air. Zara crawled behind a crate, heart hammering. Chung returned fire, moving toward his father. "End this," he shouted. "End what?" the old man sneered. "This family? This legacy? I'm nothing like you." The old man fired back. The shot grazed Cheng's arm. He hissed in pain, staggering. Zara sprang from cover, grabbed a broken pipe from the floor, and struck the man nearest her. He fell, weapon clattering away. "Zara, go!" Chung shouted. "Not without you." He looked at her, eyes wide with something close to disbelief. "You'll die here." "Then we both go," she said fiercely. For a moment, everything stopped, the noise, the smoke, even the fear. Just two people standing against everything that wanted them gone. Chung turned back to his father. "It ends today." He raised his pistol, but the old man was faster, his gun already aimed. Zara screamed, "No!" and lunged forward. The shot rang out. Chung fired at the same instant. Both bullets found their marks. The old man staggered back, eyes wide, and fell. Zara dropped beside Chung. Blood seeped through his sleeve, but he was alive. "It's over," she whispered. He looked at the body, then at her. "No. It's only over if we make it mean something." They found an abandoned fishing boat at the pier. The sky had darkened again, clouds bruised with storms. Chung connected the drive to a satellite phone, his fingers shaking. "You're sending it?" Zara asked. "Yes. To every journalist, every investigator who ever wanted proof." She watched him press send. The signal light blinked once, then steady green. It's done, he said softly. Somewhere far away, servers received the data that would tear apart the empire his father built. Chung dropped the phone into the sea. The waves swallowed it whole. What happens now? Zara asked. He gave a faint, weary smile. Now we disappear. Zara looked at him for a long moment. You could start over, you know. Build something clean this time. And you? I don't know yet, she admitted. But I'd rather find out than keep running. He nodded slowly. Maybe we both get to live after all. They boarded the small boat, the engine coughing to life. As they drifted away from the shore, the first drops of rain began to fall. Zara wrapped her arms around herself, watching the coastline shrink. Behind them, sirens echoed faintly, the sound of a world unraveling. Ahead, only open water and the faint promise of dawn. Chung stood at the bow, wind tearing at his coat. He turned toward her. You could still hate me, and you'd be right to. Zara met his eyes. Maybe I don't have to. He looked away, the faintest smile ghosting across his lips. Then maybe there's hope for both of us. The rain grew heavier, washing the blood from his sleeve, the soot from her skin. In that storm, everything they'd been, prisoner and captor, savior and saved, blurred into something new. The sea stretched before them, endless and alive. Zara whispered, almost to herself, You can't heal what you hide. Chung nodded, voice barely a breath. Then I guess it's time I stopped hiding. The boat carried them into the horizon, toward a future neither of them understood, but were finally willing to face. Hours later, as dawn broke pale and gold, the world below Seoul stirred to chaos. News feeds lit up with revelations, names, accounts, corruption laid bare. The empire had fallen. On the open sea, Zara leaned against the rail, the wind tugging at her hair. She glanced at Chung. His eyes were closed, face calm for the first time. She smiled faintly. Guess we made it. He opened his eyes and looked at her, really looked. For now. Then we take the for now, and make it count, she said. He nodded. Deal. The sun broke through the clouds, gilding the water in light. And for a brief, fragile moment, peace felt possible. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments what you think Zara and Chung should do next.